genre.
Hello and welcome back to the Doctor's Companion Presents Doctor Who The Long Way Around, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Scott Corelli.
I'm Nick Jimenez.
And I'm Cassandra Fredrickson.
Today on the show, we'll be discussing the rest of the Sensorites, which is the First Doctor's 8th story. And let's go ahead and kick it off now with Episode 4. The Sensorites, Part 4. Written by Peter R. Newman, directed by Mervyn Pinfield, produced by Verity Lambert, script edited by David Whitaker, air date 18th of July, 1964. The Doctor suspects the aqueduct water caused Ian to collapse and that the disease the Sensorites speak of isn't a disease, but poison. While initially suspicious of the Doctor, the Sensorite elders ultimately decide to allow the Doctor to try to cure the poisoning. The Administrator is upset by this news because he believes the Doctor is lying and Ian is faking his illness to take advantage of the Sensorites. When he tells the elders his theory, they decide to not allow the Doctor into his TARDIS, but instead give him access to their own laboratory. This upsets the Doctor, who shouts at them, which seems to cause them physical pain, but eventually he reluctantly agrees. The scientists tell him that the water comes from a central supply, but is taken from 10 different districts. The Doctor asks for water samples from each district and finds District 8 has traces of atropine. While the Doctor prepares an antidote, the Administrator kidnaps an elder and his family so he can steal his elder's sash and prove that the Doctor is not making an antidote, but a poison to wipe out the Sensorites and harvest the Sense Sphere. The Administrator soon proves his plan effective when he encounters a scientist who thinks him an elder. He tells the scientist to give him the antidote to give to Ian, and as soon as the scientist is out of sight, he smashes the test tube on the floor. If Ian gets better, he will know that the Doctor has been lying. But if he dies, then the Doctor will be proven true. A scientist escorts the Doctor to the aqueduct to investigate the source of the poison. The Doctor tells the scientist that he plans to enter the aqueduct. The scientist balks and warns him there are monsters inside. The Doctor asks if they have ever seen the monster. The scientists say that they have only heard its roar. The Doctor dismisses him, but speculates how convenient it is that the aqueduct is dark and noisy, two things the Sensorites cannot tolerate. The scientist returns to the elder and tells him the Doctor has gone into the aqueduct. Believing the Doctor to be in danger, Ian and Susan go to rescue him despite Ian's illness. Deep inside the dark aqueduct, the Doctor seems to have found what he suspected he would, deadly nightshade. Just then, a terrifying roar echoes through the tunnel.
Ian lies retching on the floor
Uh-huh.
from this basic schmuck water
Mm-hmm.
that the first leader was like, hey, wait, let me get the good water.
Too late. He already drank the schmuck water.
And then the Doctor like reads him and is like, oh, this is like what happened with Carol and Mayfield. Not Mayfield.
Mayfield.
When does he bail? When does he like die or
Midland?
whatever? Yeah.
He left the episode and I never noticed.
Yeah. That's the same thing happened with me. I was like, oh, he's gone?
What
happened to him?
He stays with Barbara, I think, on the ship.
Oh.
Because Barbara's gone too. And I'm like, oh, that's when she had her
Barbara's
her
gone
vacation.
because she wanted to take a couple weeks off. So she's missing for episodes 4 and 5 and then comes back in 6.
Didn't that happen to Carol Ann Ford last season?
Yep.
With the opposite?
Yep. And the season before that, it happened with the Doctor himself.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's on the ship with Barbara, and then like we never see him again.
Okay, good.
Okay, cool.
Excellent. Great.
Bravo.
So presumably Barbara murdered him for food. Presumably. That's what she was doing while the actress was on vacation. Barbara, the character, became a cannibal.
I was an Aztec queen.
Oh my
Oh yeah,
God.
remember that in part 1 where they're just like, you're probably still trying to figure out all that Aztec stuff, and she's like, no, I'm completely over it.
It was great. In one ear and out the other.
So Carol kind of replaces Barbara in this episode and the next episode. And Carol the character, not Carol Ann Ford, who plays Susan. Carol the character, pretty racist. Racist Carol. That's what I'm going to call her. There's that bit where she's talking to the Sensorite, and she's like,
I'm sorry.
Funny thing about the Sensorites, when you guys have your backs turned, I can't tell the difference between you. You could swap your little outfits around, and I have no idea who each of you were.
And he says this she says this to the first administrator, and he almost
the guy who hates them anyway. Yeah.
And he almost does kind of like a Jim take to the camera.
Right. He almost like kind of turns to the camera. It's just like, well, definitely going to kill these people. They're racist.
I've never thought about that before. He just waddles off screen.
Switching sashes, eh? And then we find out that his plan is to like take out the first elder or the second elder and like steal his sash. And then, like Carol said, no one would notice.
Right. Which is so ridiculous because they do all have different voices. Like, I feel like the Sensorites would be able to tell the difference. I don't know.
You're not wrong.
I love that his logic though is just like, well, the common people only see us from afar, and like nobody really talks to me, so like no one would know.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, what?
It's a real like
the common people.
It's a real Prince and the Pauper logic.
The schmucks who drink the schmuck water.
It makes their eyes bad.
They just it just has to be a dimly lit room. Nobody would be able to tell the difference.
They'd be so scared.
Yeah, they'd be screaming.
Ah!
They'd be screaming.
They'd cower the whole time.
Yeah.
What a ridiculous planet.
Choking on they'd be screaming in the dark, choking on their schmuck water.
The perfect crime.
And God forbid there was like noise happening at the same time.
Yeah, God
it would
forbid.
just be a nightmare.
God forbid an old man raise his voice for half a second.
So we find out the Doctor's theory on the water. Cass, can you run this down? This water theory that he has, that he's very offended at the idea of calling it a theory. But
yeah, because he's like, well, it's poison. It's not a theory. It's fact. And they're like, okay, but we've tested the water. And he's just like, you didn't test it properly. So he takes over their lab.
Yeah. They're like, it all comes from the same place. He's like, yes, but there's different districts that it runs through. And depending on where you pick the water up, it would be from a different district, even though it comes from the same central hub. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, I guess that makes sense. And he's like, yeah, you're going to throw this out. Or you're going to drink it. You're going to let me watch. Yeah. And then you're going to label it. You're going to start taking care of yourselves and
you're going to
being
take
organized.
Notes.
Yeah. You're going to take notes. And then we find out that the Sensorites take notes with the most beautiful calligraphy you've ever seen.
In English.
In English.
First district, 7th district.
Yeah.
What I did like about this is the Doctor was being kind of a doctor. He was solving a medical mystery.
Yeah.
And he was in a lab, and I dug that. I liked it.
Yeah. I like that too. I really like the montage too, which you pointed out while we were watching it, Nick.
Yeah, we got a montage.
Yeah. That never happens in Classic Who. You know how many setups that would have required? Yeah. And the fact that they still shot the whole episode in a day is bonkers.
Yeah.
I would, if I knew how to like put music over stuff, I would for sure put like different songs over that montage.
Yeah. What's the one from Breaking Bad? The really famous one from Breaking Bad? The Crystal, what was it called?
Oh yeah,
Crystal Persuasion, or
Crystal Blue Persuasion.
Crystal Blue Persuasion, yeah. Put that over it.
I was going to say this, save it for later, from Spider-Man Homecoming when he's getting ready for prom. That'd be a fun one.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Anyway,
I like that. Or The Underdog.
Or The Underdog by Spoon, for sure.
By Spoon.
Cobra style. There's a lot of songs that work. But yeah.
Cherry pie.
Yeah. Sorry, Cass.
So they find out it's District 8 is the poisonous one, right?
Yeah.
Katniss is from.
Yeah. Right. Also, they bring up the fact they're like the water's not dangerous. Only 3 out of 10 Sensorites die when they drink it. And he was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, but it's gotten better since then. Now it's only 2 out of 10." And I was like, "Man, this is a real this is like some coronavirus math that's
right?
going on here.
It's only 1%.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, the doctor's gonna fix the water. Now that they figured out what district the problem is.
Yeah.
Coming
Does
from.
this one end and then like Dr. and Ian go underground?
Yeah. This is the one that ends with the growl.
Oh yes. This had my favorite cliffhanger of the serial, which is like Scott said, this kind of guttural, like off-screen growl, and then the doctor kind of making this like,
Yeah. What is that? What could that be? Very interesting.
It's like when you hear a firework outside your house at night.
Yeah, exactly. The Sensorites, Part 5. Written by Peter R. Newman. Directed by Frank Cox. Produced by Verity Lambert. Script edited by David Whitaker. Air date 25th of July, 1964. Ian and Susan find the doctor on the floor, rumpled but unharmed apart from a ripped jacket. The doctor shares his theory that a Sensorite is plotting against them and that the beast in the aqueduct is poisoning the water supply. A Sensorite spy reports to the administrator that the doctor is onto his plot, so the administrator demands the key to the disintegrator, which is begrudgingly given to him. But when he tries to set up the weapon, the second elder snatches the key from the administrator and bends it. An administrator assistant murders the elder in retaliation, and while initially worried that this may expose their plan, the administrator has a plan to use his death to their advantage. The chief elder receives the doctor and his friends and gives the doctor a cloak to replace his ripped-up coat. The doctor offers his plan to purify the water supply by slaying the monster within the aqueduct. The administrator interrupts to tell the chief elder that the second elder has been killed and uses the assistant's false testimony to frame the doctor for the murder, who says that he clearly saw the doctor take the murder weapon out of his coat. But when Ian cross-examines the assistant, revealing that the doctor's coat has been destroyed, the assistant tries to change his story but is sent to prison for lying. With the second elder dead, the chief elder will need a replacement, and the doctor suggests the administrator, who is given the second elder sash, making his promotion official. Meanwhile, John is revived and remembers that one of the Sensorites is plotting against the humans, but can't remember which one. The only thing he does remember is that the evil Sensorite has a collar, to which the doctor realizes belonged to the administrator until very recently. Ian and the doctor leave for the aqueduct to slay the monster, but the administrator has seen to it that they are given a false map and ineffective weapons by the chief elder. Meanwhile, Carol goes looking for the doctor and Ian, but is attacked as she crosses the courtyard. The doctor gets clawed by the monster thing that he can't see because it's too dark. Now who's the one who can't see, doctor?
Yeah, because his flashlight does he just like throw his flashlight up in the air or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so he gets clawed, ruins his jacket, which is important because later he gets a robe, which in episode 5, he looks like a Hogwarts professor in the robe, but in episode...
Oh, I like the cloak.
Yeah, the cloak. But in episode 6, he looks like Dracula, I think. And I don't know what the difference is. I think it's him walking around because of his whole tie...
The whole deal.
Yeah, the whole deal he's got. It like reminds me of like the Dracula medallion kind of.
But when he was sitting, he looked like a seated Hogwarts professor.
Yeah, like at dinner. At the what is that room
Great
called?
Hall.
The Great Hall. Thank you.
What is this canon? Is this the cloak that he keeps and then wears when he regenerates into Patrick Troughton?
Is he wearing a cloak?
I think this is the cloak that he has for a while.
Oh.
Because I'm pretty sure he wears a cape in Reign of Terror from like the stills.
Ooh.
I remember watching that more than I remember watching
I think you're right. I think he does have the cloak in Reign of Terror.
I think the doctor should acquire more secondary outfits.
Mm-hmm.
Like finding something, deciding that they like it, and then wearing it throughout their run.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the concept of secondary outfits.
Oh yeah.
I just that I think the one that pulled it off the best is Capaldi, because it's like random episode to episode. It's like he has like, a style. Yeah, he has a style, and he has like 7 items, and like he does like different combinations of those 7 items.
Jacket, shirt, hoodie.
Right. Whereas and Eccleston does it okay too, where he has like the basic mold and then like a different color t-shirt every episode. But then like 10 is, I feel like, too cut and dry, where it's like each season is a different outfit, where it's like, what made you decide to change your outfit this time? Like, what changed, buddy? Like, what do you...
Doesn't he alternate between the brown and the blue fairly often?
No, it's brown.
Really?
Yeah, it's brown all through season 2. It's blue all through season 3. And then it's brown with blue stripes all through season 4. And then he goes back to the brown, the basic brown for the specials.
I'm like questioning everything.
Yeah, but he does do variations of it in terms of like sometimes he doesn't wear a tie.
Okay.
But like, or sometimes he's never in the trench sometimes.
Yeah.
But like in general, that's the vibe. And then, then you have like Matt Smith, who wore like the exact same thing up to Snowmen and then switches outfits into the purple thing after that.
I'm not a fan of the purple thing.
I'm not crazy about it either. I don't like that that's the outfit that he regenerated into. Or out of, I guess. Regenerated out of.
12 has to wear it.
Yeah.
Skeksis.
Well, yeah, and it would have been much more fun to see Capaldi in the bow tie and the and the jacket. I don't know.
Because he has the 2 different color, like he has the maroon and then he has like the blue his first season. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So he alternates between those.
Yeah.
With the matching stripes on his shirt, I think.
Yeah.
In The Haunting of Via Diodati, I remember how much I liked her secondary outfit, where it's like a collared shirt with kind of a cool print instead of the rainbow t-shirt.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one. Yeah. Her outfits don't draw as much attention to themselves, which is weird because she's literally wearing a rainbow on her chest. But for whatever reason, it just doesn't. I don't know. I almost feel like her outfit doesn't match the vibe of her show. Like her like 10. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Well, because we're always talking about how the Chibnall run seems very like dry and procedural.
Yeah. But then in direct juxtaposition of that, she looks like a children's show host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've likened her to the Fifth Doctor a couple times.
Mm-hmm. She has a very similar, I think she has a similar vibe to the Fifth Doctor. More than any other Doctor, I would say.
Something else that Hartnell has that I hope comes back in the future is a monocle.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about the monocle. What is the purpose of a monocle?
He's old.
No, I know.
Oh.
I mean, literal purpose.
So I saw someone in a movie do it the other day, and for the first time, I'm like, oh, I get it. Because they were looking at it, they were putting it on their eye, and they were looking at it up close, and it's like a way to like look at something like kind of at a smaller pace when you just have to like.
Oh, kind of like jewelers with their like big contraption, but like maybe this is like a smaller scale version of that.
Yeah.
I believe so. I've never had to use. I've never used one.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I will though before I die. I'm gonna try it out.
Can you get like a prescription monocle?
Yeah, absolutely.
You like go to the eye doctor and you're like, yeah, I only want one of these.
What would be the point of it if it wasn't prescription? Really, what would be the point?
Right?
Of it?
Or you're just one of those guys who just buys a monocle and just uses it, but you don't need one.
This is my reading monocle.
This is my reading monocle.
That's kind of how he was using it. He was reading something.
Yeah. What's this?
So there's this really funny conversation that just like tickled me to no end. So
a Sensorite is talking to Carol, not Barbara.
Yeah.
And
about mind veils.
Yeah, it's like a mind veil.
Yeah, it's like a veil in your mind. And then Carol is like, oh, like an eyelid. And he's like, or a veil, which I just said.
Which
and
I
so
just
it's like,
freaking said.
Yeah. And so she uses, she like mentions like here, he already uses like an example of like, oh, it's like a veil. And she's like, oh, like an eyelid. And it's like, why do you have to double down with another example? Like, yes, I guess you could have said, I could have said eyelid. Yeah, a simile. That's the one. Yep, that's it. Yeah. He already has a simile. He already comes to the table with a simile, but his simile isn't good enough. I guess because it's fancy. And she needs a biological simile. I don't know. But that old conversation, old racist Carol just hates everything that the Sensorite says.
I can't relate to this, even though a veil is just like a piece of fabric. Let me
right.
Oh, you mean like an eyelid?
Is this the episode where Susan talks about Gallifrey a little bit?
Yeah, the burnt orange skies and the silver leaves.
The silver trees. Yeah. I liked that part. Because that's
something
first...
you don't get a lot of.
Yeah, we don't really get a lot of lore about Gallifrey like ever in
this
early stuff.
The big one that obviously we get they never say it by name until Pertwee. Pertwee is the first person to say Gallifrey, I believe.
Doesn't Troughton because of how he goes out?
No.
Really?
It's the Time Lords, but he never says Gallifrey, I don't think.
Okay.
I think the first appearance of the word Gallifrey is in the Time Warrior, the first Sarah Jane episode.
With the Centauran?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so this is like kind of the first instance of like knowing anything about them as aliens, as, beings, I guess. Because I don't think we hear Time Lord until that episode, until the War Games, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the first time we get... No? We get it before that?
What about the monk?
Does he mention he's Time Lord, or does he say that he's the same thing? He's from the same place.
It's been a really long time.
Yeah, because they always kept it super vague, and then they start like slowly filling in details.
Yeah.
But I think the first time they say Time Lord is in the War Games, and the first time they say Gallifrey is in the Time Warrior.
We'll find out in 20 years.
20 years.
What we do hear in this one is Susan for sure says like, I'm not from Earth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like Barbara and Ian.
Right.
And she speaks of Gallifrey as if it is her home. So yeah, maybe she's a Shebogan.
Which is also cool because this was supposed to be the season finale of season 1. So it's like they wait until the last episode of season 1 before they start to like reveal a little bit of details about the Doctor and Susan, which is cool.
I thought it was cool too that like, because there's no like quote unquote official continuity, but like Russell T like kept that detail whenever like Tennant would talk about Gallifrey.
Mm-hmm.
It's like how the sky's orange and stuff. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
that is really cool.
And it super resonated with me watching this for the first time, of hearing Susan talk about it and picturing Gallifrey as I know it watching New Who.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really cool.
Yeah. Isn't that that was that one dude's job, right? Specifically during the RTD era, that one dude who was like a big fanboy of Doctor Who, and his job was to like keep track of continuity.
Not
RTD. It was who's the other one?
Moffat?
No, like the
John Nathan Turner.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't like that guy.
Oh,
not John Nathan Turner, but the fanboy guy.
Yeah, his name was like Ian something, right?
Yeah.
Ian Briggs? Oh
no,
never mind.
That's Nicholas Briggs.
Nick Briggs.
Yeah, no, yeah, that guy sucks, but he has found a few stories.
That's true.
Of classic Who that was lost. So yeah. You take some, you lose some. I guess I don't know. I'm always worried that if Doctor Who is too mean to him, he'll just start hoarding them. And then we'll find out that he has like 7 lost stories when he dies. Which, I guess would be dope on its own, I guess. It's just like suddenly we have like 7 stories we didn't have before.
Yeah, do you remember like when they found those 5, like, what was that, like almost a decade ago now or something?
Yeah, that was nuts.
In like South America?
Yeah. It was like South America or South Africa or something like that.
It was Africa.
It was Africa, yeah.
In like a basement.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Man,
anyway,
so good.
Does this episode end with Carol getting grabbed by a?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Carol gets got.
Classic Barbara move.
Yeah. I think, is Carol in the last episode at all, or she just gets got?
Yeah, because they rescue her.
Oh, right. That's right. Okay. The Sensorites, Part 6. Written by Peter R. Newman, directed by Frank Cox, produced by Verity Lambert, script edited by David Whitaker, air date 1st of August, 1964. Carol is forced to write a letter to John and Susan saying that she has gone to the spaceship. When they get the letter, they show it to the Chief Elder, who says that the letter is obviously forged. They also suspect something has happened to the Doctor and Ian, but the Chief Elder says that they have gone into the aqueducts and did not want to worry their friends. The Chief Elder suggests that Carol may actually be in the disintegrator room. John goes to investigate and enters as the Chief Warrior threatens Carol with the disintegrator, but is ultimately disarmed and imprisoned. Suspicious that some of the Sensorites may have it out for the humans, it is decided that the Doctor may have been given faulty maps and weapons, so it is decided that Barbara and John will go after them. In the aqueduct, the Doctor and Ian are attacked by a human who escapes, leaving behind a badge in the shape of a rocket ship. They follow in pursuit, but are then surrounded by a group of humans who reveal that they are the survivors of the last expedition of the Sense Sphere. They are taken deeper into the aqueduct, but the Doctor leaves behind a trail for Barbara and John to find and follow. When the Doctor and Ian meet the commander of the human survivors, he confirms that his group has been poisoning the Sensorites to wipe them out and harvest their planet. He seems to believe his men are at war with the Sensorites. When Barbara and John turn up, the Doctor convinces the men that they are a victory party, celebrating the glorious human victory. Barbara manages to contact the Sensorites to position themselves at the mouth of the aqueduct with their weapons, where they seize the human survivors. Later, the First Elder has given permission to Matlin to take the astronauts back to Earth, where they can receive medical treatment, and announces that the Administrator has been banished to the outer wastes of the Sense Sphere for his crimes, never to return. The TARDIS lock has also been replaced, and the travelers are free to leave. In the TARDIS, Ian makes a snide comment about never knowing where they are going. This angers the Doctor, who says that wherever they land next, he is leaving Ian there. Yeah.
The end.
Make her write a letter. We meet the lost humans, though. They're all completely insane, and they think they're at war with the Sensorites.
The aqueduct folk.
Yeah, the aqueduct people. The aquabats.
Yeah. Doctor Who and the aquabats.
I thought it was as far as like this episode goes, like the resolution is really, really quick.
Yeah.
And I was like, why did this need to be 6 episodes long?
Why did this need to be 6 episodes if you weren't going to stretch this part out longer? Like,
Yeah.
It's crazy that the humans show up in the very last episode. Just like the last reel. Oh yeah, there's also there's crazy hobo humans.
Like subterranean humans.
There's crazy aquabats.
What do they call them in the X-Men? The weird X-Men that live underground?
Morlocks? Morlocks? Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, Lady Deathstrike.
They all make wooden stakes and try to kill the Sensorites like they're Draculas.
There's a great episode. There's a great moment where a Sensorite is like, drop your weapons, and the guy just drops his wooden stake, and it makes the most wooden sound I've ever heard.
They both kind of just like shrug, like they were just caught, and then drop it. Like, yeah.
Oh well.
And they're like fat stakes too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just like these big fat wooden
because it was
stakes.
directed by a Hammer guy.
Written by a Hammer horror guy. Yeah.
The script. They have to be super big stakes.
Yeah. The thicker, the better.
Christopher Lee killing stakes.
And little known fact: the writer of this episode, the first person to spell thick with 2 C's.
A prophet.
A prophet. He wanted some thick steaks.
What else did this guy write?
Oh, I don't know. Let's check this guy out.
I wonder if I like any of the other ones.
Let's investigate. Peter R. Newman.
It ends on a pretty leisurely note. Like the Doctor solves the Sensorite's problems.
Yeah, it's all pretty chill. Wow, this dude was a hunk.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he's a pretty good looking dude actually.
Oh dang.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Let me see here. So he wrote just the Sensorites for Doctor Who.
Oh.
And then he wrote, it says a movie called Yesterday's Enemy and a movie called The Savage Guns. And that's it. End of list. So he never wrote again after the Sensorites.
Well, at least he went on a high note.
Yeah. That was it. I guess he was he older? 26 to 75. I guess he was 49 when he died? 48.
Wow.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. But I guess that's probably partially why, I imagine. Yeah, it looks like he only worked for about like 6 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yesterday's Enemy is a Hammer horror thing. In World War II, during the Japanese invasion of Burma, the lost remnant of a British Army Brigade HQ, led by the ruthless Captain Alan Langford, escape through the jungle toward the British lines.
Oh. I bet Quentin Tarantino's seen it.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like it's like a trashy Hammer war movie, it looks like.
That's cool. I didn't know Hammer made war pictures.
And then the Savage Guns in Sonora, in a lonely valley near the border of Arizona. Ex-Major Summer tries to forget about the horrors of the War of Independence on his farm. He has forsworn to violence.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
He was in the War of Independence?
I guess.
I guess that makes sense.
A former major. Okay, here's a better one. Mike Summers, a former major in the Confederate Army who, sickened by the slaughter he has seen, settles down to what he hopes will be a life of peace in a Mexico valley not far from the Arizona border. Vowing never again to draw his gun against his fellow man, he soon finds his pacifist principles tested when a gang of bandits takes over the valley. So it's like Unforgiven, but like 40 years before Unforgiven.
Remember A Town Called Mercy?
Interesting.
Yeah. A Town Called Mercy. Oh, right. Yeah.
The Western one.
Yeah,
the
that's
Western
right.
Doctor Who episode.
Western Doctor Who.
He also goes to Arizona. Does he go to Arizona in Day of the Moon?
Is that Arizona that he goes to, or Nevada?
Utah.
Utah.
Wow.
Oh, right. Because it's the famous mountain cliff things.
Utah.
Right. Utah.
I liked how the episode ends with Ian kind of jokingly being like, so the doctor's like, so like John and Carol like finally get to go home on their spaceship, and doctor's like, well, there they go, and like, oh, they're gonna be okay, grandfather. It's like, no, well, at least they know where they're going, and Ian's like, huh, must be nice, and the doctor is so offended,
so mad.
He threatens to kick Ian off the TARDIS, and then the episode ends.
Yeah. You son of a bitch.
Get out.
Just decks him. What if it just ended with the first doctor just decking Ian?
Why you?
The best part about Ian insulting the doctor and the doctor being like, I'm going to land this thing, shove you out the door, and take off again, is like, that's the season finale.
Yeah.
That's when he decided. You know what I'm going to do when you least expect it?
Oh, man. Yeah. Wow.
I like Petty Doctor. I like Petty Long Game Doctor.
Yeah. So what did we think ultimately about the Sensorites?
I loved the Sensorites.
The aliens?
Yeah, they were cool.
Yeah. I think it would have been fun if they would have leaned more into the politics of the Sensorites and like really got into the nitty-gritty of just like, I don't know, like Sensorites rolling up their sleeves and doing work. I don't know. I always like aliens doing like menial tasks. I just find like it just like menial, like just like everyday culture of like, oh yeah. Like, I don't know. There was like bits of this that I liked in terms of the sort of like inner politics between them and like the little cattiness between the certain Sensorites, or the Sensorite that like tries to say that the doctor murdered someone and is like lying about it. Like all of that stuff was really good. I like that stuff. But it could have been 4 episodes easily. I feel like Doctor Who, Classic Who has a bad habit of not knowing what stories require 4 episodes versus 6 episodes or more sometimes.
Yeah, I think rarely does it need more than 4.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
This one was really boring. It was really boring to watch.
Yeah.
Even though I felt like I'd never seen it before. So I was like, oh, this is kind of unfamiliar. But at the same time, it felt really familiar because I felt like I'd seen it a bunch of times done way better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, even the part in the episode where it was revealed that the first administrator was like, I don't trust those humans. Like, yeah, you're in every Doctor Who story.
Mm-hmm.
There's always like one kind of the thing that they meet that's like duplicitous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also thought it was going to be different because it's like, oh, okay, we're just exploring this one culture and we're not stuck in the middle of like a war between two factions. And then the humans show up in the aqueducts, the aquabats. They show up and I'm like, oh, so this literally is just a Doctor Who story we've seen a billion times.
Mm-hmm.
Or will see a billion times.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That character that you're referring to, that sort of like archetyped, have we gotten much of that in the Hartnell era at this point?
Marco Polo guy. Here's your water, Marco Polo.
Oh yeah. Well, but did he hate them or did he hated Marco Polo,
okay, that's
right?
True. That's
Yeah.
true.
Right? And they were just getting in the way of his like plan.
His already.
The same thing in the Aztecs with the religious guy.
Yeah.
He had plans and then they show up and like ruin his plans.
Like Road El Dorado.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this guy didn't have any plans. He just don't like them humans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Screw these guys.
And it made sense when you found out that they were at war with them.
Right. Fake war.
Yeah.
Yeah. War caused by them like melting their brains, I think, and not letting them leave, right? Wasn't that the
Well, like the whole thing was with like the humans in the caves is like they thought they were at war and then like they were just poisoning the Sensorites and the Sensorites were like minding their business.
Oh. Okay. How did they get there though?
How did who get there?
The humans, the aquabats.
They were there 10 years ago and then the ship exploded because 2 of them left and then the 3 of them got left behind.
And that's
So-
what poisoned the Sensorites was the radiation.
No,
Oh.
they were like, "Oh, we're at war with them, so we're going to poison their water." So like they were busy committing war crimes for a war that didn't exist.
Okay. I feel like there was a more simple way for them to like have all of these pieces
Right.
come together a little
Right?
bit more. Yeah. Cause like, why couldn't those humans just be humans that the Sensorites were like, hey, you can't go anywhere because of the gold. And they're like, oh man. And then they just like go crazy like John and then start to think they're at war with the Sensorites.
I don't know. They were
Right?
just there.
I feel like that would have tied things together a little bit cleaner.
Yeah.
I don't know.
because they were part of the first party of humans that the Sensorites ever met.
Oh, the ones that like stole the gold stuff.
They wanted to, yeah, and then
the
like,
unobtainium.
yeah, 2 of them were just like, "Oh, this isn't a bad idea," and then their ship exploded, and then the 3 of them were left, and they're just like, "We want the gold," or whatever.
What are they going to do with it when they get it? They can't go anywhere.
I don't know. They're
Stupid humans.
They're aquabats, Scott.
Yeah. You know what? I'm on the administrator side. He was right.
Mm-hmm.
These white men are dangerous.
If we've learned nothing else,
These white men are dead.
these white men are dangerous. So if you want a t-shirt that says "These white men are dangerous" in the Doctor Who font,
Oh my
I'll make
god.
that on TeePublic. But really, we do have a TeePublic store, duelinggenre.com/merch. I just posted like a bunch of new designs. They're like based on credits from movies, specifically movies that Dueling Genre has covered in the Movies by Minute format. Though I have been thinking about maybe trying to recreate credits from Doctor Who eras.
Oh, that'd be sick. Like written
Which
by
would be
Russell
cool.
T Davies or like written
Yeah,
by Stephen
yeah.
Moffat. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
kind
James Corden.
yeah, and James Corden as Craig. Maybe not that one, but yeah, like maybe like David Tennant, like in the font from his era, or like you said, like either written by or like executive produced by, though a written by Neil Gaiman would be cool. But yeah, I was thinking about doing something like that. If that's something you guys would be interested in, let me know, because it does take some finagling to like get the fonts together and get it to look exactly like the credits.
Mhm.
Takes more work than you would think. But I had a lot of fun making all of the credit shirts that we have currently. And I'm always wanting to find a way to do some Doctor Who merch that is like original to our show. So let me know if that's something you would be interested in, and what credits specifically you might be interested in. Yeah, that's duelinggenre.com/merch. Go check that out. It's our TeePublic store. If you go through our link, anything you buy at TeePublic in or out of our shop, we get a cut of. But if you go through our link, it takes you directly to our shop, and then we get even more money when you get, one of our designs. But if you're going to order anything through TeePublic, you should use our link because it helps us out a lot and doesn't take anything away from the artists that you're buying your designs from. So, for example, when you go through our link and you order something from our store, we get an affiliate amount of money and also an amount of money because we designed the shirt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we get like a double fee, which is pretty cool. So in any event, it's really helpful. It's just like, it's like a little like extra money for us. But it really does, help us. We usually like buy like, something that we've been needing for like research or maybe like a microphone or something like that. So it is really helpful. That's duelinggenre.com/merch. Check that out. And we'll be back next time with the Second Doctor and Tomb of the Cybermen.
I'm hype.
I am hyped. Nick's hyped too. He just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch a not restoration.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. It's a non-restored. It's an existing Second Doctor story, which those are few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because of the fire.
yeah, and it's great. Well, no, not because of the fire, because they just taped over them.
Okay.
Yeah, they just didn't save them because they were like, no one would ever want to watch this again. Let's just tape over it.
Right.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Excited.
BBC, great. So yeah, Tomb of the Cybermen. We'll talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.